Welcome to the 5:30 August 10th CRA meeting. We do have a quorum, so I'll call this meeting to order. Would you please join me in a moment of silence? And the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, would you please read the rules to speak?
Yes. Individuals wishing to speak on agenda items must complete a sign-up card and present it to the clerk prior to the item being introduced. Sign-up cards are available on the table in the council chamber. Individuals wishing to speak on non-agenda items may do so under petitions and requests from the public present. No sign-up card is required. Citizens will be given 3 minutes to speak on all agenda items.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of July 13th, please? I have a motion.
Second.
And I have a second. Roll call vote.
Member Aker,
Yes.
Member Robinson,
Yes.
Member Jordan,
Yes.
Chairman Diesel,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nelson, Member Stokel,
Yes.
Member Ball.
Yes.
And we pass that unanimously. City Manager.
Yes, no special recognition or presentations. We're on to 7A, which is old business. The American Rescue Plan Act Farmers Market Memorandum of Understanding with the Greater Titusville Chamber of Commerce. City Council at their July 13th, 2021 meeting unanimously approved a plan for the city to partner with the Greater Titusville Chamber of Commerce for the Chamber to operate a farmers market utilizing American Rescue Plan Act funding, and directed staff to draft an agreement with the Chamber to operate the farmers market. MOU is attached for CRA's review and recommendation for approval to City Council, and this approval will be pending the third-party auditor's review, and the auditor will come on the 24th at your next City Council meeting, so it'll be after that.
So anything we vote on or approve is pending the auditor's approval?
It'll be your approval, but it will still be subject to the auditor's review, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Council, anything you want to add to that? Any cards on that?
No.
No cards. I guess I'm looking for a motion.
Was it for a motion? Can
Yep,
I
absolutely.
Ask a question?
Absolutely.
So do we have a tentative date to start?
I think you said the 27th.
27th? That's a good day.
Uh-oh. That must be a birthday.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Member Robinson.
Yes, I just wanted to ask, I understand, and it's wonderful that you have all of the criteria in place of what you're going to qualify the individuals was under. That I appreciate that. And you know how it was the last time, and the word was just out, and I hate to see abuse. I hate to see abuse. And
Come on up. It seems like everything's directed in your way.
So thank you. So one of the improvements that we've made, because we did stand alongside the county during the CARES Act program and help them during that time, one of the things that we learned is that there was a lot of room within the system for people to be able to abuse the system. So we've gone to a fully digital application, and working with our technology partner, it will actually scan for duplicate addresses and provide notification to us when there's the same address is registered more than once for us to be able to resolve those conflicts. And so there's not paper, there's no way to, we didn't see a lot of rampant fraud when we did this before, but it doesn't allow anybody to stagger or go to different different stations, those kinds of things, because it's all electronic. And so we'll be able to track that data and give you all kinds of outcomes and information once we're done, and none of it will be on paper.
yeah, I had on the last go around, even in church, I had people announcing it in church. Free food for everybody. Just go there. You don't have to bring no type of identification. have to do it. Just come and get free food.
Just
Get
come and
$50.
get free food, yes, or where's my $50?
Yes,
Yeah, we
yes.
had that a few times just by the grapevine. That's the nature of the beast. But we think we've put in some extra protocols and procedures to make sure that we eliminate as much of that as we possibly can. And the webpage will hopefully go live, and we've got an FAQ, and we got a whole bunch of documents to share with the community to let them know in advance. But there will be no paper forms, and once they register, the system will actually remind them of their registration and invite them to continue to participate in the program.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you. We're also
That's
setting up a
perfect.
resource station with 211 and the Homeless Coalition to be at the market as well, to be able to interface with some of these folks. So those that may not be aware of the number of resources that are available in the community, it's a great opportunity, since they're coming for food assistance, for us to engage with them about other services and resources in the community that they may be able to take advantage of. So,
Anything else?
That's it on me.
Member Jordan?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion.
Hold on that motion, because before that, I want to go ahead and, for the record, that was Marcia Gadsky. Gadsky of the Titusville Chamber. That's generally why we have you guys say that first. But anyway, now we're on the record. Yeah, we all know you. Okay, we have a motion from Member Jordan. And we have a second from Vice Mayor. Roll call vote.
Member Robinson,
Yes.
Member Jordan,
Yes.
Chairman Diesel,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nelson,
Yes.
Member Stokel,
Yes.
Member Ball,
Yes.
Member Aker.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous. Next one, City Manager.
On to item 7B, which is advisability for funding park improvements at Marina and Sandpoint Parks that are within the Community Redevelopment Agency area. This item was tabled at the June 8th CRA meeting, and the board directed staff to contact North Brevard County Park and Recs Department to see what projects the county is proposing at the parks located within the CRA. The county's proposed projects for the parks within the CRA include Marina Park Pavilion replacement for $400,000, Marina Park Skate Park lighting of $15,000, and Sandpoint Pavilions replacement for $629,500. The current FY21 CRA budget has $45,000 available in Trail Town Amenities Capital Projects account to provide improvements that would benefit visitors of Sandpoint and Marina Parks. Brevard County Park and Rec staff has indicated that one of the top requests they receive from their parks is a shade structure at the dog park located in Marina Park. Park staff indicate that the installation of one 45 by 45 foot shade structure for the dog park area is estimated to be $40,000. County Park and Rec staff has also indicated that there is a need for park benches both in Sandpoint Park and Marina Parks. Based on budget and input of Park and Recreation staff, the CRA would be able to fund and purchase 12 park benches at Sandpoint Park at an estimated cost of $3,600 or $300 per park bench. If the board is not inclined to fund these improvements, other possible projects that are in the CRA could consider approving the Trail Town Amenities Fund towards a reviewing structure at Scoby Park near the intersection of Main and Indian River Avenue. The estimated cost of that project is $125,000.
Thank you. Member Robinson?
Yes, and all of these improvements, are they going to increase the participation of the citizen at the park? Do you think that they will have a positive effect, or are we just doing it to this?
Yes, I do believe it would have a positive effect. In speaking with the Parks and Rec Director for the North Brevard, the dog park is very well, it's used quite a bit, and I've received complaints over the years about its condition. And again, it was based on our discussions that was the item that came up, and that there's also a need for benches around the parks. So, being that we had a little extra money and they're paying for some big ticket items, I thought that might be grounds for partnership that's called out in our redevelopment plan.
And the reason that I ask that is that, if we start putting more benches around the park, that we still have vagrancy, a homeless problem, and how we're going to monitor that, and people going down there. And I don't know how late people were enjoying the park, but I know that people start sleeping on benches soon that the sun goes down.
And they do design benches now that have the arm bar that goes across the middle that tries to prevent people from laying down on the benches. Of course,
Okay.
if you could sleep sitting up, but they do have those, and I've used them before or paid for them before in a previous job.
At least that's some type of effort that we're making to keep them from being used for beds and so forth. And I don't want to anyone to think that I'm against someone homeless crashing, but we don't want that. We got to protect one and protect the other as well, and making efforts to try to inconvenience the individuals that may be homeless and crashing and doing other things on those benches as well. Okay.
Okay. I will add to that as a member of the, not as a member, as the liaison to the Parks and Rec Board, we go out and do park checks, what's needed at the certain parks. And I go out to the marina on occasion. I was actually just telling the city manager yesterday, I think it was, I almost use the word shocked, but certainly surprised at how many people and dogs were out there. I would go as high as saying there was 30 dogs out there. So that being said, it's very, very used. So I'll go from there, and we'll go to Member Ball.
Thank you. I think we were very inclined to be favorable to this concept when it first came up, and the notion was, well, is Parks and Rec, or what are they doing for us? And you answered that, I believe. So the only question I had is, are those current fiscal year projects? Okay, so they're funded. They intend to fund those. All right, satisfies me.
Member Aker.
So my understanding is we have $45,000 that we could use towards some projects. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So that kind of takes because I love the idea of the Scoby Park viewing area, but that's beyond the scope of the money that we could do at this time, right?
Correct.
So then that brings us back down to the dog park and the benches. And certainly, we want to be able to provide benches. We want to invite people to come there, regardless of how they're being used all the time. So I would be supportive of the benches, and if there's a way to swing it, we could swing both of the covering for the shade for the dog park, because Lord knows it's hotter than the GBs out there right now.
And with regards to your question about Scoby Park, that also could be budgeted multiple years. So just want to make that clear.
Member Stokel.
Has there been any discussion if we decide not to do this, what Parks and Rec will do? Will they not do anything? Will they fund it next year?
I think based on the presentation that was provided to you all at the last city council meeting, I think you had the budget put before you. So other than the lighting and the pavilion replacements, I think that's pretty much what they've budgeted for the next year.
Okay. I guess my concern is I'm not a huge fan of mixing our Parks and Rec money and then also now putting in CRA. I don't really want to set that precedent. And then if we do this, which I do feel like there is a need, I will say that. I've been over to that dog park, and I definitely think there's a need over in that area as well. It's just taking it from something else we may want to do with the money as well. If we wanted more grants, if we want to do more things in the downtown. So I don't know. I'm a little kind of conflicted on this item, to be honest. So I will continue thinking to see if anybody else has any comments.
Member Jordan.
Thank you. I think Councilman Stokel kind of stole my thunder because I'm just a little concerned. It's $45,000. It is CRA money, and almost in my mind, we're already paying taxes afford the parks as it is, and now we're adding money to it. And I'm not sure if this is the best way for us to spend the money. I actually like the Scoby Park thing. To me, that's the better way of going. It's our money to do something like that. When we got Brevard Parks and Recs is definitely, they got a lot of money for sure. And I don't know, I'm not inclined to agree with this. I'm just, when I feel hesitant about something, I tend not to vote for it, to tell you the truth. And that's where I am now, just because of the fact that it's almost like double taxation, if you will. I mean, it may not be that way, but it feels that way to me. But you said something that almost changed my mind. You said we have some kind of agreement with Parks and Rec as it relates to tit for tat, if you will.
What we have is in our redevelopment plan. We have policies that where it mentions, in our capital improvement chart in the plan on page 10, it talks about recreational improvements funding. On a couple of other pages in our Vibrant Community Initiative, it mentions expanding recreational opportunities with partnerships with Brevard County and with private organizations like the Kiwanis and the Rotary, I'm sorry. And also about contributing funds to public-private partnerships for funding of needed amenities. So we have the policies in our plan to back us up if you so are inclined to go forward with it. We also have the state statutes which say CRAs have the power to construct parks and playground improvements.
Okay, thank you.
So
Just for CRA's consideration, the city was just awarded a grant for Scoby Park improvements of $43,000.
43,000, yes,
Yeah.
for the Tourist
So-
Development Council.
We're going to start doing some improvements to that, so the viewing pavilion may be an additional enhancement to that
Okay,
Scoby Park.
since I still have the mic, you just caught my ear, so that'll be 43,000 and the 45,000 we already have. You can put that
Not
in.
towards the pavilion itself. This is specifically for improvements to Scoby Park. I think it has a walking trail.
Yeah, the improvements as part of the park would be planting of mangroves, educational signage, and a pervious walkway that would take you down towards the water.
Okay,
So,
all right.
and it would be designed, the walkway would be designed, so in the future, we still have, the plans for the viewing structure. So it wouldn't interfere with any future plans.
Okay, thanks.
Vice Mayor, did you have?
Tim, I don't know if this is a fair question to ask you, but I'm going to ask anyway. You can tell me if I'm wrong. It was my understanding that over the last few years that the budget for parks, the county has actually contributed to that budget, that we have had a shortfall.
The county does, it's a partnership agreement, so county taxes are also paid into maintaining the North Brevard area parks, as well as the city MSTU dollars.
Okay. So it's not totally unfair if we turn around and do this. That's the way I'm looking at it, is they're contributing, they're doing the pavilion, and that's got to be a lot of money. I don't know if you know the amount.
Now that money that, those projects that Mr. Davis spoke to council about,
Okay.
those are all out of your MSTU funds,
Okay.
as well as operating.
All out of MST funds?
That's
or
correct.
Out of MST funds plus county
And
funds?
Those were what Mr. Davis has to do before council is describe how your MSTU dollars are being spent, and that's what
Okay.
he's done.
So do we know how much the county is kicking in to
Well,
our Parks and Rec budget?
If I'm understanding you, if you look at the page 20 out of 47, there is what Mr. Davis turned over to the city. The Marina Park Pavilion replacement is coming out of the general fund funding source, where the other items are coming out of the MSTU, the lighting and the Sandpoint Pavilion replacement.
So the ones out of the general fund are actually from the county. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, they're putting in $400,000 for the pavilion replacement and $140,000 for the Gibson Center. $90,000 for Sandra play area. So I don't feel bad about kicking in some because the county is kicking in. And I think this is a fairly small amount for us to offer to kick in. So that's how I feel about
Okay.
it.
Member Ball.
Yeah, I understand the hesitation that's being expressed, and I think where I'm going to come down on this is to be in favor of supporting it, because we would be meeting an immediate need. I mean, this is something that our residents, certainly the ones that have dogs, are going to enjoy and get some comfort out of and put to use right away. And the alternative that was discussed about Scoby Park, it looks like we can do some improvements there anyway, without adding funds to it at this time. And we're already doing the viewing platform down the street, which has drawn concerns and comments about, is that the right place to put that much money? So, in my view, this is like putting our recreational dollars into something that's, going to meet a different constituency need, if you will. Let me ask you this question: where have we funded out of CRA money other improvements to those parks in recent years?
And Kevin can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we funded the BMX improvements. Yeah. That was not with CRA money, but with city money, I believe.
Okay, but CRA money, did the CRA money do the splash park?
No, sir.
No. So maybe part of the thing is that we want to be clear that we're not setting an expectation on the
structures. The shade structures.
Did we do some? We did some of the splash park.
You did the shade structures for the splash park.
So now we're talking about doing a shade structure for the dog park. I think it's a fair question or issue to not set an expectation on the part of Parks and Rec that they can say, gee, they funded that, let's come back every year and look for a contribution of the CRA. So I would not be in favor of that. But I think I'm going to support this one.
Member Aker.
What happens to that $45,000 of funds if it goes unused?
Well, it would need to be appropriated to some other projects. If not, then it needs to go back to the taxing authorities, which would be the city and the county, if under our rules that we pay for debt service and capital improvements. So it would go back to the taxing authorities.
So we either use it or we lose it.
Correct.
What would happen if we had an opportunity to buy property to expand parking in downtown and we had to come up with funds? Is there a source to do that?
That would be through your tax increments or through a bond process
Okay. Thank you.
or loan.
I would agree that it's I don't want to say concern, but it's a little different for us to have mixed funding for something like that. Being on the Parks and I keep saying being on, I don't want that confusion, but being a liaison to the Parks and Rec Board, I know there's been great discussion that city-owned, county-maintained in a lot of places, and it's a recreational area and it's Parks and Rec, and they do an awful lot of things. I would go along with the fact that it's something we can get done, and it's something we can afford, and it's something that would be utilized by a lot of people. If we, with CRA money, are putting it in the right place, doing the right thing, meaning that it's all by CRA rule, we're okay with that. I would go with that, but I would also agree that that we don't want to make a habit of that. I don't want it to be the norm or the protocol. We've got a project over here with recreation or parks, and Parks and Rec doesn't have the funding, so we're going to have CRA do it if it's in the CRA area. There's a lot of things in the CRA area, as we know, where $45,000 could make an impact. In this case, I got to tell you, the visual of the number of people and the number of dogs in that park on any given morning, not even a weekend morning, any given morning, that's a quality of life in our parks and in Titusville that I would support us supporting. So with that, Member Jordan.
Yeah, I need clarity of what Dr. Eaker asked about purchasing land. Can that money be used to purchase land? $45,000?
Sure. I don't know any reason why it wouldn't. I don't know how much land it could purchase at 45,000.
Well, I understand that, but you
yeah.
know, when we are looking at, as he was talking about parking and other things, how long do we have as far as the 45,000 is concerned? How long do we have before it possibly could be turned back in if we don't use it?
I think under the statutes is you have 3 years
Oh.
approximately.
Yeah. To me, it actually emboldens me to still say no, because that money can be used for some of the things we need to do within the CRA. Okay, thanks. I'm not going to argue the case, but you were hearing my vote.
Anybody else? Call the cards.
1 card, Stan Johnston.
I got a handout. I can start the time now. Stan Johnston. I want to reinforce what Mr. Jordan said, is that give it some time. Think about maybe you got something else. And let me explain one thing I have in consideration. That is pavilions. How long has this pavilions been there? And now they're rusted and so forth. So what is the lifetime? What's going on with the pavilions? Do we have to replace them? Is it time to replace them? Do we need to replace them now? Can we wait a few months? Can we wait a year? Can we wait 2 years? The second thing I have to do is I've given you a handout. You've seen it before, the last time. And in this case is that what we have had added are something which is what I would call anti-improvements to the park. The anti-improvements are the BMATs. Those BMATs, now these ponds with the BMATs, they can't be used for little motorboats that people have with radio controlled. They can't be used for the sailboats within it because they'll just hang up on those BMATs. They can't be canoes or kayaks or anything like that. Now, if you look if you look on this picture, it mentions there's a sign here. It says for that pond, it says swimming prohibited. Beware of alligators. Well, that's a good idea too. So, but the thing is that what is going on is that those BMATs have not been justified by any study that I know of. What do you think the watershed for those BMATs is? I think Mr. Cook knows, but I think it's less than 50 acres. I think it's less than. It includes Big Apple Plaza and just a little bit of right of way and so forth. So what I'm sharing with you is the TEC never reviewed anything as far as the justification for those BMATs. It looks like what we're spending is we're not getting our bang for our bucks. We're spending lots of money for those BMATs, and it's a teensy-weensy. It's really a small watershed. I'm telling you is that this doesn't make any sense at all. So if you're going to use some money for improvements, one improvement is try to get rid of those BMATs, which city has done. I see that they've done no study about it. That's a serious issue. We're throwing money away on those BMATs because it looked like we were not treating anything to speak of. It's not justified. So I'd like you to get serious on this matter, and serious on the spraying sewage with people, spraying people with sewage, not people with sewage. But these things shouldn't happen, and I think you should consider with this money issue. What are you going to do? Because you're taking away from the public park with these BMATs, and I see no justification. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other cards?
No.
Do I have a motion on this? Member Ball?
I'll make a motion that we approve the funding of the park improvements at Marina and Sandpoint Parks as presented.
I have the motion from Member Ball.
Second?
I
Or is that
think
you?
my notebook. No. Who's
Okay.
calling in? I have a second from Vice Mayor. Roll call vote.
Member Jordan,
No.
Chairman Diesel,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nelson, Member Stokel,
No.
Member Ball,
Yes?
Member Aker,
No.
Member Robinson,
Yes.
4-3. I don't know. Let's recount it. I'm not used to 4-3s. Motion passes 4-3. And we move on to new business.
New business, we're now on item 8A, which is a conditional use permit number 4, 2021 for rental car agency. The Planning and Zoning Commission considered this item at their August 4th, 2021 regular meeting and recommended approval 7-0. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to locate a rental car agency at 1026 South Hopkins Avenue. The applicant is proposing to lease the front 1.1 acre portion of the parcel to operate a rental car agency. The property is zoned downtown mixed use, DMU, midtown subdistricts as for section 28107A of the Land Development Regulations. Requires a rental car agency to obtain a conditional use permit approval in the midtown sub-district of the DMU zoning district. The property has been used as a new and used car sales since the 1960s. Per the submitted plan, the applicant proposes to utilize existing building parking, ingress and egress points for vehicular access. And this will be a recommendation to council to approve or not.
Thank you. Staff, you have anything to add to that?
Staff is in support per the staff report, and we believe that the use of the property, the previous use as a new used car sales site ideally suits the needs of a rental car agency, and we think it's a good fit.
Thank you. As you probably can tell, I normally go around the table and then I'll throw something out there, how I feel about it. But in this case, after discussing it, I drove by and it just struck me as what you just said. It just looks like the perfect place for this particular business, and it sure will look a whole lot better than the emptiness we have over there right now. With that, Member Aker.
I'm just trying to get localized. I just kind of figured out this is the original Gus Falk Chevrolet
Yes,
property.
yes, with the metal
hill.
structure.
Yeah, no, that'd be a fabulous use for that property.
Fabulous.
Absolutely. Member Robinson.
Yes, moving from where the rental car place is presently down from Subway, because it's a safety hazard and everything else where it's presently located, I think it's been awesome. I won't use the word fabulous, but an awesome idea to do it.
Very good. Member Jordan.
Yeah, actually, I thought about it some more after I listened to the staff. I don't know how we can do it. I'm in total support of this. This makes a lot of sense. What doesn't make sense to me is that we have to come here and ask for the information. Of course, you have something to say. Go ahead.
It didn't make sense to me either, but it's in the code, and maybe it's in the code because of the issue that we have next to the subway, where you have a small little site that's jammed with a bunch of rental cars. So that's the only thing I can guess, since that was done before my time.
So actually, you brought up a good point. So someone else, like what's the name of this place? Enterprise. So I thought, did they go out of business?
No.
Hertz went out of business.
But they'll be moving from the small
No,
site,
Hertz
and I think
went
their
out.
applicant is here
No,
as well.
I understand, but I think it's Hertz that went out of business. They sold all their cars during the COVID, and now they can't do anything. But that means that some other rental car place can go right in the place where Enterprise is right now, because it's zoned that way, right?
I believe it's zone community commercial where they're at, so
Right.
that,
Yeah.
I believe they'll be permitted to go there.
Yeah. So the only thing I suggest, and probably have to do it, I don't know if we can do it in here or not, but just have staff just to look at it and see if we really need to have a CUP when you already had and I can almost guarantee you there was cars being leased and rented at that place before. So.
The strange thing about the code is if You can lease cars if you have a new car sales. But if it's rental cars or lease cars by themselves, it needs a conditional use.
That doesn't make any sense to me at all. So anyway, if everybody's willing, I'd certainly like for staff to look at that and see if we can make it more palatable.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. Keep it simple, and if we don't have to do it, we should be doing it.
Yep,
You good?
that's all I have, sir.
I see no more lights. Call the cards, please.
Tim Ford.
We were told to submit cards if we were going to speak, so that way I don't have to be sworn in, I believe.
Okay.
Wait a minute, I'm confused now.
It's a conditional use, so it's a quasi-judicial item.
Sure.
Staff has to put in a card.
Sure, anyone who testifies on a
Oh, something new.
quasi-judicial, the card has an oath on the card, so they submit the card.
You did tell the truth,
Let's ponder this for a while. All right, any other cards?
Yes. Bob Ziegenfuse.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, absolutely. Bob Ziegenfuss, Redevelopment Services, 708 East Colonial Drive in Orlando, Florida, 32803. And I'm here representing the property owner and the applicant, who is Enterprise Holdings. We're their civil engineering firm that's been contracted, and we're already started the drawings with our positive reading from our hearing last week. So we're just here to answer any questions you might have about the project.
I think we will have a couple, but mostly, as we said, it looks like a perfect project for the perfect place. And I think it benefits our aesthetics and the practicality. And as Member Robinson pointed out, none of us have, or all of us, let me say, have dealt with the fact that you try to go to Subway and you got a rental car place crowding it up.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this possibility, Vice Mayor.
Okay, this is sort of just an off-the-wall question. Did we get to keep the Jetsons roof?
I'm sorry?
The Jetsons roof?
Oh, Justin. So that question was asked at our hearing last week as well. So we have finally, it's a challenge to get people to come out and look at anything construction related these days. As everybody can probably tell, it's very busy. We've been waiting for 2 months now to get a company out there to analyze the stability and structural capacity of that. If you haven't been out there lately, was one of the first things we noticed when we looked up there. There's quite a few rusted members and some bolts that have even been losing their nuts, very large ones. So one of the things that we looked at is with the property owner, because Enterprise is leasing this property, is to have that analyzed, looked at, see, everybody involved in the project thinks it would be a very neat feature to keep. It's all about money. And so if it's repairable, it is going to be repaired as long as it's feasible to do so monetarily. So the final decision's not out, but if it's structurally stable and can be saved, it will be.
That would be cool. That's almost like a landmark.
It is, I was going to say.
Obviously, the first thing you noticed when I came up on the site. I'm not a Titusville native. I'm a Florida native and lived in Orlando for quite a long time, but had never seen that. When I drove up on it, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool. It'd be neat.
Yes.
It would be neat to see it
Long
refurbished and kept and made part of the project. So that is a desire, and we'll find out more within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I see no more lights. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Next card.
There's no more cards.
All right, with that, I need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve conditional use permit 4-2021.
Member Jordan makes a motion.
Second.
What's that you got down there? Second by Member Aker. Roll call vote.
Chairman Diesel.
Yes.
Vice Chair Nelson. Yes. Member Stokel.
Yes.
Member Ball.
Yes.
Member Aker.
Yes.
Member Robinson.
Yes.
Member Jordan.
Yes.
Now that's an easy count. Passes unanimously. It's all over the place. And we move on to City Manager.
On to item 8B. This is the award recommended to council for the Julia Street lighting project. The city solicited price quotes on May 24th, 2021 for a project in accordance with Public Works Department request to engage an experienced contractor to provide lighting installation along Julia Street. 6 vendors out of 55 notified, obtained bid documents. The city received 1 bid submittal, which was opened on June 10th, 2021 from Rush Facilities, LLC of Titusville, Florida. Staff recommends that CRA recommend to City Council to approve the award of price quote for Julia Street lighting improvements to Rush Facilities LC of Titusville, Florida, in the amount of $60,253.24 to construct pedestrian lighting improvements along Julia Street near Emma Parish Theater. Additionally, authorize the mayor to execute the contract with the necessary purchasing instruments to approve the associated budget amendment.
Thank you. And no staff input on this?
Kevin's here if you have any questions.
Okay. I see no questions. Council Member Robinson.
Yes, I asked a question earlier, a couple of days ago, that to make Titusville downtown to look a little brighter and prettier, and the answer that I received was yes, and that got my vote right there. Yeah.
And I see no other lights. I'll simply add, this has been something we've been kicking around for a long time. And I'm kind of glad to see it here as a, on the agenda, ready to go. So I'm excited about that. Member Jordan?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the award of contract to the Julia Street lighting.
We got new cards.
Do we?
Yeah. Call the cards, please.
1 card, Stan Johnson.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm not so much against this, but I'm thinking about how you're spending your money. $60,000 is a lot of money. I think it'd be nice if you take a look at the big pavilion, the Belicenti Pavilion, and look where it connects. It looks like you need to do some repair work on that. In other words, when we're thinking about spending money, I don't think we're looking at we're missing some things, and that's one of the things that we're missing. It looks like you need to do some upkeep, maintenance, so it doesn't go into a situation where you're going to have to replace it. So that's what I'm concerned about how you're using your money, because this is a good bit of money just for the lighting, which we already have some lighting there. So that's the main comment I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other cards?
No more cards.
Member Jordan.
Okay, I'll repeat. I move that we approve the award of the contract of the Julia Street lighting to Rush Facilities.
I have a motion from Member Jordan. I need a second. I have a second from Vice Mayor. Roll call vote.
Vice Chair Nelson.
Yes.
Member Stokel.
Yes.
Member Ball.
Yes.
Member Aker.
Yes.
Member Robinson.
Yes.
Member Jordan. Yes. Chairman Diesel.
Yes, motion passes unanimously. We move on to petitions and requests from the public. If you have something non-agenda item, I don't see any, so Stan, you're up. Clock, please.
Stan Johnson, I'm coming here as a professional engineer, and I want you to take notice of something special that just happened in our community. We had a boiled water alert, and it affected the CRA, many restaurants, and people around town. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. In other words, I don't know. In other words, when you go to the park and you use the water, did the park went ahead and did they shut the water off to all those fountains and so forth? I don't know if they did or not. But we had a boiled water alert. So I'm looking at, why did we have a boiled water alert? So I read that the water samples were from the well sites. Well, I see no reason to impose a boiled water alert on well sites, because you're going to treat the water. In fact is that back in this, when I was here earlier, is that the city would brag about how much capacity they had for extra treatment of water. So now I look at some more correspondence that says groundwater rules. The groundwater rules from EPA says that that if you do not treat your water and mix it with your treated water, then you must have a boil water alert if the wells are contaminated. Now, how many of us in here knew that we don't treat our water? We pay for it, but we don't treat it according to what I'm reading. We don't treat it all. We just take it from the wells, and when we dump it in there. And I don't know that I've known about this. I've lived here. I've been for 50 years, and I've never heard of such a thing that the city is doing. It's not known to the public. Nobody raised their hands. So what are we going to do? Are we going to have, in the CRA, are we going to have continued again and again boiled water alerts? I found it kind of interesting is that the city of Titusville is destroying, we're going to get rid of our elevated water towers, whereas Don Madison, a former water resources director, said, we have to have those water towers. Now, maybe this is a clue that we are getting rid of our water towers because maybe we're pumping directly from our wells into our water supply. I mean, we still treat some water. So I think that the CRA needs to know what's going on because maybe we could expect some more boiled water alerts. That cost the city, I know, people in restaurants over $50,000 this last boiled water alert. I know it did. So please look into this. Thank you.
Thank you. Ooh, long time. Anybody else for petitions and requests? Executive report.
Yeah, on to item 10A, which is the executive director's report, and it's just information items for the CRA's consideration, subject to your questions.
Okay. Any questions? I see none. City Attorney, you don't have anything today? Don't need anything here? Okay, perfect. All right, with that, we have done what we need to do. Meeting adjourned. We will come back at 6:30.